What if the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest, but the calmest? Imagine a storm raging around you. Problems, pressure, expectations, but your heart feels as still as a quiet lake at sunrise. Most people think strength is about force, but what if real power is the ability to stay peaceful when everything is falling apart? What if inner peace is the real superpower, one that can't be shaken, bought, or taken away? In a small town wrapped in silence and early morning mist, lived a boy named Ethan Parker. The world saw him as kind, hardworking, and determined, but his heart carried battles no one else could see. His father lay ill, his mother worked tirelessly, and Ethan did everything he could to keep their family afloat. Day after day, he worked odd jobs, helping wherever he could, but the weight on his shoulders only grew heavier. Some nights he lay awake hearing the creak of the old wooden house and wondered if life would ever be any different. He would sit on the porch, staring at rolling fields stretching toward the horizon, asking questions that seemed to have no answers. Why is life so unfair? Why am I always the one who has to fight so hard? Anger rose within him like thunderclouds gathering before a storm. He felt it in his chest, in his breath, in every thought that circled his mind. But no matter how angry he became, nothing changed. The world remained the same, only his heart felt worse. One evening, the sky turned to gold and soft orange as the sun began to sink. Ethan walked to the creek alone, each step heavy with frustration. He sat on an old rock by the water, silent at first, but slowly, his emotions poured out. That's when he noticed someone beside him. An elderly man stood by the trees, his silver hair catching the last light of day. His presence felt different, calm, almost peaceful. "Why the tears, young man?" he asked. Something in his voice made it easy to answer. Ethan confessed everything: his fear, his anger, his exhaustion. He spoke of how he tried and tried, but nothing ever seemed to change. The man listened without judgment, without interruption. Then he reached into the creek, filled a small clay jar with water, and placed it in Ethan's hands. "This jar," he said softly, "is like your heart." The boy tilted it gently, watching the still surface of the water. Then the man dropped in a stone. Ripples spread outward, disturbing the calm. "This stone is your anger," he said. "Drop in fear, jealousy, resentment, and your heart will always be restless. But a heart at peace," he continued, "can see clearly. It can reflect solutions that anger could never find." In that moment, as the ripples slowly faded, Ethan understood something he had never seen before. A storm outside couldn't destroy him, but a storm inside could. That night, Ethan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, but something felt different. The old man's words echoed in his mind, not loud, but steady, like a heartbeat. "Your heart cannot reflect the sky when it is full of stones." He realized that all his anger, all his frustration, didn't make him stronger, it only made him tired. Change didn't need to start outside, it needed to start within. So the next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Ethan walked back to the creek. The air was crisp, and a thin layer of mist floated above the water. He sat quietly, closed his eyes, and listened to the birds, to the current moving gently through the rocks, to the rhythm of his own breath. It wasn't easy. His thoughts still wandered. His worries still crept in. But each time anger rose, he paused and imagined placing the stone down. Day after day, he returned. Some mornings were peaceful, others were battles. There were times he slipped, times the old fire in his chest came rushing back. But now, he had something he didn't have before, a choice. He could react, or he could breathe. Slowly, people began to notice. The boy who once walked through town with clenched fists now spoke with patience. His voice softened. His steps became steady. Challenges still came. Bills still needed paying. Work was still hard, but his heart carried a new strength. A quiet strength. The kind that didn't shout, but didn't break either. As months turned to years, Ethan's life transformed in a way no one expected. He never became wealthy, but his presence became valuable. People would say, "If Ethan Parker speaks, listen." He sees things clearly. He stays calm even when everything goes wrong. And that calm, steady heart drew others to him. People who were tired of their own storms. People who needed someone who could show them another way to live. What changed his life was not fortune, it was stillness. Not power, but peace. One evening, a young boy from the town found Ethan sitting by the creek, the same place where his own journey had begun. The boy's eyes were filled with tears. "I can't do it anymore," he said quietly. "School is too hard. My parents are always fighting, and it feels like I fail no matter what I try." Ethan listened, just as the old man had listened to him years ago. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small clay jar. Placing it gently in the boy's hands, he said, "This is yours now. Pretend it is your heart. Every time fear comes in, every time anger rises, place it in the jar and watch the ripples. Feel how it disturbs the still water. And then, imagine letting it go." The boy held the jar as if it were something precious. "Can I really do that?" he asked. Ethan nodded. "You can. It won't be easy. But every single day you choose calm instead of chaos, your heart grows stronger. That strength is silent, but it is greater than anything life can throw at you." Years passed, and Ethan's name became a quiet legend in that town. People didn't remember him for money or fame. They remembered him for something far greater, for the peace he carried within him, and for the peace he helped others find. He showed them that storms will always exist, but they don't have to exist inside of us. And that is the lesson he left behind. If life feels heavy today, don't fight it with anger. Don't drown in frustration. Close your eyes. Breathe. Let your heart become still. Because when the water is calm, it can reflect the sky. And in that reflection, you may discover a strength you never knew you had. The kind of strength no one can give you or take away. A peaceful heart may just be the greatest superpower of all.